Hi everybody, this is Judy at Judi in the Kitchen. I have some quick tips and ideas for you on ways to use basil. Now I'm breaking this up into two different videos because I have a lot of tips and ideas for you and it's a bit much for one video. So here we go, take note here. How about making a dairy-free pesto by combining chopped basil with garlic and some olive oil. You could even add some ground up pine nuts in there as well and use that to top pasta, salmon, bruschetta, something like that with it, and it would be good. How about topping some fresh tomato slices with mozzarella cheese and then sprinkling them with some fresh basil leaves on top. That would be delicious. Now the oil of fresh basil is very volatile. It can be destroyed very easily. So remember that when you're using fresh basil and adding it to a cooked food, add it toward the end of that cooking time to preserve that wonderful flavor of the fresh basil. Have you ever noticed that when you chop basil leaves, they tend to turn dark? That can be from a metal knife. So one suggestion is to use a ceramic knife or even a plastic knife when you are cutting fresh basil leaves, like in a chiffonade or something like that, and that will help to keep from bruising those leaves and having them turn dark on you. Try adding basil to a stir fry of eggplant, cabbage, chili peppers, tofu, and cashews, and that'll give you a Thai flair to your meal. Flavor tomato soup with a puree of basil, olive oil, and onions. And you could also try a basil tea by infusing fresh basil leaves in hot water for about 8 minutes. Or you can flavor a cup of black tea or green tea with some fresh basil leaves for a mild spicy infusion. And that one comes from me in particular because I do that all the time. Now the basil leaves are the main part of the food that we use. The smaller stems are okay, but the thicker stems and stalks can have a bit of bitterness to them. So, and also the stems and the veins, the larger veins, have some compounds that can turn a pesto dark brown or black. So it's best to use only the leaves when you're working with fresh basil. It's noteworthy to know that if you're growing your own basil, the white little flowers on them are edible. Now, if you're converting in a recipe fresh to dried basil or some other herb, the rule of thumb is 1 part of dried herb or basil is equivalent to 3 parts of fresh. So 1 teaspoon of dried basil would be equivalent to 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon of fresh basil. You can make a wonderful vinaigrette dressing with olive oil, balsamic vinegar, basil, and garlic. And you can increase the basil and even add Parmesan cheese if you want and make a basil balsamic pesto out of it. Well, I do hope these suggestions help. Stay tuned for part 2. This is Judi at Judi in the Kitchen. Bye for now.